Welcome to Insight Plug, the podcast where independent creators and entrepreneurs connect and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. Today on our show, we have actor and model Joe Rosing. Joe, welcome to the show.
Here.
Glad to have you. So you have a ton of projects that you've been working on, and I'm excited to hear about them all. But first, let's talk about Joe as an actor. When did you decide that acting was going to be a career that you pursue?
Uh, it. I got found out at a gym that I used to be a manager of back in my hometown of Wakanda. Not like the movie, not like the movie from Black Panther, which is pretty cool. It's, it's got obviously much difference, but it's still cool. And from there, I went to school in Johnny Casablancas, and here we are, just over 6 years later, doing acting and modeling now.
Awesome, awesome. Could you share with us how did your first audition go for your first acting role?
My very first audition.
If you can
Well,
go far back.
well, I would say the first time I auditioned was at the school over there. But my first time I did an acting audition, oh God, I don't know if I can remember what it was. Uh, I don't recall ever getting the role from what I know. At least I don't. I can remember. I remember what my first self tape was. That I can remember,
All right.
and I know I didn't get it. I didn't know how to make a self tape. I didn't know what I was. I did like a full length one. It was vertical. I had stuff in the background you could see. I was just playing around with it. I did obviously never got it. I didn't know the fundamentals about it because we never had to teach it in school because this is before code, but when I went to school, so we had to kind of figure it out. Yeah. I was making a horse's ass out of myself. I was just getting loud, obnoxious with a pair of scissors, being a crab with scissors in my hands. Yeah. Yeah.
All
But
right.
I prefer in-person auditions. But the thing about, because that makes it more personal, but I will admit the best thing about the self-tapes, you can do it as many times as you want. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Do you remember what was your first acting role was?
Yeah, I mean, I did one for a documentary for Amazon Prime. I don't know if it was released called Cyber Crimes. I was just like kind of like there's no line, just background. But to me, my first acting role really was for a short film that was silent film. It was a tribute to the Gary Oldman movie Dracula from '92, Bram Stoker's Dracula. And we just did like little scene from it in our own little way. It was kind of fun to do that. And after that, I got another acting role as the lead in that one as well for a short film called Fleshfire, which will be part of the six pack of, I think it's called Six Pack of Terror, Six Pack of Horror. It's like six films in one movie, six short films in one film. And that one I had to do two auditions for. And this time I got it right. And I remember I got booked for it. That was really fun. I think that was right during the time or just after everything started opening up in acting. I
Um,
learned like, and that was actually my second time having a speaking role. My first time was having a speaking role. I played a character named Joey of all names for oh I mean the project. I remember I was playing this character named Joey. First time ever getting killed. Oh, I can't remember the name of the project anymore. But it was killing it in the arts. I remember that.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you still are pursuing, those endeavors. And so the self-tape, you had a good experience with, but you didn't get the part, and that's fine because you still was able to get some roles. And so now let's talk about some of your projects. We have here a horror thriller that you worked on called Seduction. Can you share us how you got connected with that film?
Oh yeah. Let's see here. I saw a casting call for on Facebook somewhere. And I think it was by the producer who of the film I believe. It's been a while now. And I sent an audition tape in and they said they liked it, but they forgot to mention that it was for local people in Kentucky only. Or for Louisville. But they said, but if you still want to do the second audition, you can. And I thought I'd rather do the second audition, that way shows that I'm still serious. And I was serious about it. And then the guy who wrote it, and he actually buy it online on Amazon, Seduction. And he even has a second book called Wolfbane, which is much longer, very interesting as well. Written by Kevin Landrum. And Kevin, who was the writer, and he saw my movie Desperate Souls, and he saw my audition, and he goes, you know what? I know you're from Chicago, but I still want you. So I obviously must made an impression. And we've done the concept trailer for right now, concept, some scenes to get people excited about it. But for right now, we're still waiting to film the rest of it for now, because we want to do it during the fall. That was the key goal of it, or at least late spring, somewhere around there, one of the two. Involves a detective who's kind of a burnout detective who takes on a case involving a supernatural being. Yeah, and I don't want to give anything else away though.
Oh no, I love it. I love it. I like that. So you said you he found you in the project Desperate Souls that you were in, and you won the best lead actor in that film. Could you share a little bit about that project?
Yeah, that project, I would say was probably the most sentimental to me because it is the first character I've ever played that taught me something about myself. And I won't get into it. I know I was just talking about this with somebody the other day, believe it or not, on their show. Um, let's see, that one is a horror movie, but it's a romance movie at the same time. On one of the streaming channels, they categorize it as horror drama. It's a thing about a young man who has issues with depression and suicide, and comes across this woman named Moira, who actually is a succubus, and she's been known to kill men. Obviously, we all know how that goes, and but for something different about Devin, so she falls in love with Devin, and things do start to happen. So he feels better about himself. But the longer she's with him, the more longer you can see the progression of how he's dying. So that's all I can really say about that. It really is very unusual to see a movie that can actually kind of hit all 3 points: horror, romance, and drama. And in people, that's probably one of the biggest things people talk to me about constantly. And I'm cool with that. That's fine with me. I'm glad you liked something.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So we have this project you played a ringmaster in Rock Circus.
Yeah,
What was
yeah, I was reached out to that by a lady who, uh, oh God, what's her name? I'm drawing a blank. I just came back from the gym. That's why I'm looking like this. Uh, anyway, Mama Gator. We always call her that. It's a nickname. You And she reached out to me, and I got hired because of my hair. And I was just thinking about getting the cut. And she goes, "We want somebody who could look like a ringmaster, but kind of rock and rollish, because what it really was is for concussion awareness." We had a pretty good turnout. We had Hairbangers Ball there, and they're the headliner. Anyway, with people there, I think we tried to get a fire act, but we couldn't get it because just for whatever reason, we had people doing like the ropes, the scarf, how they tangle themselves up, stilt walkers, other things. Really, really, it was really nice. So at the Forge over in Joliet, I go there every once in a while to go see a rock show every once in a while. I was just there seeing one not too long ago. Yeah, that was pretty fun to do that. And I had to wait about almost 6, 7 months to do it, so I couldn't cut my hair. Yeah, and no, I didn't have to play the guitar or anything, but that was like the first time in a long time I was really scared to do it because I had to talk in front of about 200 or 300 people. Nobody knew I was nervous, but I usually do things in front of the camera or so many people around. So that's the thing about being an actor; you can hide stuff.
awesome, awesome. Climbing up that ladder. I love it. So outside of acting, you've been getting into directing. So you have a project that you're currently directing called God and Stan. Could you share a bit about that?
Yeah, that's the only time I'm directing. That was just like a one-time deal. I always believe being an actor is the easier job. That's just me, though. Anybody who works behind the scenes, do whatever, it could be director, producer, the grips, the caterer, whatever. I always believe they all have the harder job. I think I have the easier job, really, because they have all the problem solving. They all have to do all the light, the gaff. Everybody's got the harder job. And for whatever reason, I decided just to do it. I wrote a short film called God and Stan that was based off an old stand-up bit that I wrote a long, long time ago. you know. And I also did what decided to be the co-star of it. I play Stan. Just that way, it was just easier. I don't have to worry about trying to cast a fourth person. It's just got four characters in the whole movie, and we're done filming it. It's just in post production right now. I teamed up with Chivi's Films, Derek Brash. I presented to him. He said, "Yeah, we'll do it." And then we had J&N Productions and JD Entertainment. Everybody worked together on this with me, for me. Some people actually asked, "Can I work on this?" I'm like, "Yeah, go right ahead. Come on board." So what it's supposed to be is about some kind of relationship involving God and this person Stan. I don't really want to give too much away because it's kind of like, you don't want to give the joke away. It's a punchline.
Awesome. I understand. I definitely understand, and I'm looking forward to seeing that when it comes out. So let's touch a little bit back about you as an actor. Being that you said that, directing is, quite a task within itself. As an actor, what has been some of the obstacles that you had to overcome as an actor?
Uh, well, I would definitely say try and grow some thick skin. That was definitely an obstacle sometimes, and that could be for anybody. Also, if you're somebody who gives up right away, that's an obstacle. You're gonna have to, you don't want to give up. Just keep going. You might get a fail here and there. Or a no as an obstacle. I would say I would have to try. I worked on even before that. I wasn't really somebody who gave up that easily on, but it's definitely more so. And you definitely got to have patience. You're gonna get rejection. You're gonna get frustrated. Just keep going on. That's that's probably like what advice I could probably do. And practice. You could be doing it for 10 years. You're still learning new stuff. You're always trying to improve yourself, and don't do it half-assed. Because in this line of business, to me, I view it as the career. Or like being married or in the service. You're either in it or you're not. And because if one person doesn't show up, then the whole thing just breaks down like a machine. That's really the best answer I can give for that.
There you go. Yep. Thanks for sharing that. Yep, that is true. Gotta go all in. Can't half-ass. All right. So let's discuss now about the short film that you worked on called Fallout.
Oh yeah, Fallout Highwayman. That one was inspired by two guys. One guy bought this really nice, I think it was like a 68 Chevy DeVille. As a matter of fact, I was getting an oil change on my way back here, and I bumped into one of the fellow's friends. It was Jeff. It was friend Tony. He was doing my oil change, and Jeff owned the car, and the whole thing was inspired by his car, Jeff's car. And Andrew, who was the director, and Jeff, their friends were cousins or what they were, and they just make a short film about it. So it became a fan film from the Fallout video games. And I saw the post, and I don't play games a whole lot anymore, but when I do, it usually is like one of the Fallout games. I always like those a lot. And I saw this post, and I jumped on it right away, and I saw him lead in that when I was the Vault Dweller. And it's still in post. Hopefully, it's going to be released this month in April, or worst case in May. It's been behind schedule for a little bit because you get post production, and Andy Marcel, he's like a one-man army. He's doing all of his own pretty much. He's doing all the editing, all this and that, whatever. And unfortunately, in November, Jeff uh, passed away. He took his own life. God bless him. Me and Tony, over at the oil change place. We were just reminiscing about him. Show me some videos of him as well. And we're all pretty bummed that he's not around him. He's one of those people where he always had a smile on his face, and he always made you feel like you were his friend. He was one of those people. So we another reason why we want this film to be finished because without him, this car would never have had inspiration for it.
Sorry to hear that. Send our condolences over to his family. And we look forward to seeing Fallout when it comes out. So also we have here that you're a model. So when did you get into modeling, and how was that experience for you?
It was the same time I did our acting, but do it at the same time. I used to have shorter hair, and during the COVID thing, it was much different. Now it's like I do different modeling work. I used to do some print work. I've done runway, I've done parts modeling. My first gig I got was as a parts model for Sexy Hair. So they cut my hair, and I felt really touched because I always use the products. So like a big name like Sexy Hair, I always swear by them. I'm like, oh wow, what an honor that be my very first modeling gig. Um, let's see, done brand ambassador, the brand ambassador, I should say, art modeling, um, oh, commercial prints. I done a couple other things too. I can't remember off the top of my head, but at least stuff like that.
Awesome. All right, Joe. So we're at the part of the show where we ask all our guests, what is a book, a TV show, or a film that you recommend to the next aspiring filmmaker?
Uh,
It could even be a public figure, like if you have like an actor that you looked up to, or even a model that you looked up to.
yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, it's hard to pick one. That's the problem. It really is. I would say a really good film to watch, or if you're a filmmaker or it's any idea, one movie I was like was Little Children. That was kind of a drama. It was an interesting way of how particular art is made. Or if you want to just be like Quentin Tarantino, he just went and did it. I mean, you could tell certain directors how they have a style. Get a style. Start. Don't be hard on yourself. Nobody's perfect, but sometimes the imperfections are best. I don't know about a book to read to choose from, or a TV show necessarily. It's kind of like a very broad question. I can't think of off the top of my head. For me, an actor, I always kind of liked. My first influence was Rowan Atkinson. At 6 or 7 years old, watching Mr. Bean, and I used to imitate him all the damn time as a kid. And my first grade teacher, Mrs. Shilkus, could definitely testify to that. I don't know if she's still around or not, but she definitely, on my behalf, testify on my behalf of that. Or James Cagney, he's somebody I always liked. For me, or for anybody else, just whatever inspires you, use that as your standing point. You could take advice from somebody else, but whatever made you want to put it all in one set, and you use what inspired you to do whatever you want to do as an acting or modeling or a directing or writing, whatever. What inspired you? Who do you look at? What movie or book or TV show have you seen countless times that you know the script from back to front? Things like that, if that helps.
Yes, yes, it does. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. That's very insightful. Because everyone, finds their groove and finds their inspiration in their own way. And just to be open-minded is what we want from our viewers and our audience. All right, everyone. That was our episode of Insight Plug. Joe, thank you so much for being on. We loved hearing about all your projects, and we're looking forward to Fallout when it comes out.
Oh, I appreciate it, man, and thanks so much for having me on. And I look forward for the release of Fallout as well and all these other projects we have up and coming.
All right, everyone. This has been our episode of Insight Plug. Remember, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to check out some of our previous episodes, and don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Subscribe. We're here every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Remember, stay inspired and keep creating. Insight Plug, signing out.